Hey everyone. So today we're going to be talking about value and shading. So on canvas I have an example of a value scale. I think this one might be a little bit hard to see, but what value is in a drawing is the difference between the light and the dark in a drawing. From the whitest white to the blackest black that you can get. And what a lot of beginning artists do is they don't use the full range of values when they shade things. They only use kind of like the lower, lighter, like right in here area, you know, like maybe 2, 3, 4. And so what we want to learn to do is we want to learn to use the full value range from the whitest white to the blackest black. And we want to learn to look at an object, a real object, or to look at a photograph and decide what value that object is or that part of that photograph is, and then we want to use that correct value when we're shading it. Another big mistake that a lot of beginning students make is that they are not able to get a nice black. Part of it a lot of times is because you're just using a normal number 2 pencil and the lead just won't go that dark. That's where the shading pencils really come in handy if you were able to get yourself a set. A nice big set like this is great. You do not need a set this big. If you could even just find a set of 2 or 4 pencils, that'll work. Anything is going to be better than just a normal number 2 pencil. So when I'm using my shading pencils, I could use a 6B, and that's going to help me to get that really nice dark black, what we would think of as black. And so it also makes it so that my value range has a lot more range in it. From the white of the page, square number 1, I don't put anything because you can't get any whiter than just leaving your page blank, to the blackest black that I can get with my pencil, and then all of the variations in between. So if you have a ruler, what you're going to do is you're going to take your ruler, you're going to draw on the top and the bottom of it, and you're going to divide it into 1-inch segments, and you're going to have 9 of them. And then I would label them just so when we're talking, or when I'm talking to you about your drawing, I can use the numbers as reference. You know, like number 6 is too light, or number 5 and 6 look basically the same. The next thing that's really hard, and this is just going to take practice, I think this is an easy concept to get. It starts at white, then it's a light gray, darker gray, darker gray, darker gray, gradually getting darker as it moves across to black. Like, most people can understand that concept. What is hard to do is to actually get your hand to be able to do that shading. So when I shade, I hold my pencil a little bit differently. This is how I hold my pencil when I draw. This is how I hold my pencil when I shade. So I kind of turn it on its side, I hold it more towards the middle and the back, and I kind of turn my entire hand on its side. And then what I do is I try to pretend that there is like a nail that is going down through my wrist, and it's nailing this back part of my wrist to the ground or to the page. And so this is the motion that I'm going to do when I shade. So when I shade, I want to try and keep my strokes close together and overlapping. And so I don't want there to be any gaps as I come out towards myself, or I guess back down towards myself. I'm using my 6B so that it'll show up better on the video. The thing about a 6B, or all of your Bs, but especially a 6B, is because the lead is so soft, the grains of the paper are going to show up a little bit more. So I'm trying to keep even pressure, and I want my strokes to be close and overlapping, so my shading basically comes out pretty smooth just from the beginning. If I want to make this darker, I can go back and I can press harder. And then if I want, I can make one side, the dark side, gradually turn in to a lighter side. I'm doing this by changing my pressure. I'm pushing harder. I'm starting back at the top where I want it to be darker. I'm pushing harder. and then I'm lightening my pressure as I come down, and I'm basically blending in this darker value into the lighter side. And this is called a gradation. And this is a super important technique. This is what is going to make things look round. And when we get to faces, this is what is going to make a face look realistic, because that's all a face is gradations in and out. So as you are working on your value scales, there's a couple of things that I want you to keep in mind. I want you to fill in the entire box, and I want you to try and take your shading right to the edge. I don't want you to go over the line and then take your eraser and erase. Yes, that does work for a value scale, but when you're actually shading a real drawing, a lot of times you can't do that. You have to learn how to be able to take your shading right up to a specific edge. So try to fill in the entire box. Try and make it so that each box gets one step darker. You don't want any two boxes to be the same. And you want it to go from white, gradually getting darker, light gray, darker, darker, starting to turn into black, pure black, darkest dark that you can get on the other side. When you're done, take a picture of your drawing and upload it. This is something that definitely takes practice, so don't be too hard on yourself. It's probably going to take a couple times to really master it.